Hello, everyone. I'm greeting you from Moscow, where it's hot and sunny today. So my name is Tatiana Sokolova, as you probably know already, and it is a great honor for me today to be a presenter, because if you are here, I can understand that you must be really, really enthusiastic about what you are doing, because being on the platform of a webinar on Sunday, it's only for really enthusiastic people. Okay, so in order to get to know you better, can you tell me what cities are you from? What cities Moscow is greeting today? Can you write it in the chat box? Hello, Novosibirsk. Great. So I see that Moscow, Novosibirsk, St. Pete's, greetings to St. Pete's. Many people from Moscow, and I am glad that technologies allow us to get together, even being from different parts of our huge country. Okay, I represent language просвещение. Oh, even Murmansk. Great, I've been there several times. Uhta, wonderful, great. Okay, so we are here today to discuss the following issue: how to create an effective learning ecosystem and what learning ecosystem is. So, as I have said already, I represent Language просвещение, which is distributor of very well-known educational company Pearson. Do you know about Pearson? Do you use any educational solutions from this company? If yes, let me know. If you don't know anything, just give me a sign you don't know or not, or just minus or something. So do you know Pearson? How much do you know about this company? So who knows and uses Pearson's products? Ludmila doesn't know anything. Margarita knows something. Yes, I see that many people know, but for some people, maybe I will tell something new. I will discover a new world of educational resources, very useful. The majority of people know, of course, because it's a world famous company. Maybe in Russia, people know more about Longman, which has been acquired by Pearson and has become a part of this huge company. Okay, so today we're talking about learning ecosystem. As you already know, learning ecosystem, from my thesis for my presentation, learning ecosystem is not merely classrooms or school buildings with facilities. It is something more. What is a learning environment for you? Just share your understanding of the notion. How do you understand learning environment? Okay, I'm waiting for your ideas about the issue. It's Moodle like a learning environment, like a platform for e-learning. Yes, that's a well-known platform for e-learning. This is just one example. And what else does a learning environment involve? Meanwhile, while you are thinking and sharing your ideas about learning environment, I will announce my agenda. Okay, these are my contacts in case you have questions and or would like to maybe to find out more if you're interested in something I'm going to talk about today. And today, in the first part of my presentation, we will discuss what learning environment actually is, and we will talk about 10 characteristics of a highly effective learning ecosystem. In the second main part of the presentation, I'm going to talk about one example of a new ecosystem of educational resources from Pearson. And finally, to conclude, we will find out how learning ecosystem can allow us to enjoy the learning experience and to turn it into to turn education into a lifelong experience, how to become a lifelong learners. Okay, so yes, that's true. Okay, so learning environment is a complicated notion which encompasses teaching materials, tools, modes of interaction, and teaching communities, which an example of which is, for example, Trendy English. It's also kind of teaching community where we can share our ideas, where we can refine our teaching methods, and we do it regularly, so it gives us the opportunity to thrive and to succeed and enrich our teaching experience. Okay, so and on this slide you see the definition from Connie Yowell, PhD and Director of Education from MacArthur Foundation in the USA. Connie studied she did the research in adolescent psychology development, and now she runs a $150,000 project on using and implementing technology in education. So I like this quotation. I'm going to quote her throughout my presentation several times more. Here on this slide, you can see the media coverage of the research which is annually held by Pearson, which is titled Voice of Teachers. And this is the coverage of the research held in 2016. As you can see, probably see from the headlines, they sound really alarming. Of course, it is not about Russia. All the data are not about Russia, but more or less the trends and tendencies in education are the same all over the world. So we can see that the interest to studies and students' engagement is on the decline, which is really alarming. And as the figures show, very many teachers are really worried about the fact that excessive use of personal gadgets is to be blamed for that. But what can be done about it? Can we as educators just ban personal gadgets or stop using them, or forbid using technology, or pretend that technological progress does not exist? Of course not, because the problem is that educational environments and educational institutions just fall behind the technological development, and that is why institutions in learning environments are not relevant for kids from their point of view. What can be done about it? According to Jim Binke, Chief Learning Officer of the Education Service and Technology from Pearson. Digital resources will play a critical role in the ability to make advances in innovations and will allow us to change and to improve learning environment to make them relevant for children nowadays. And Pearson as a company invests huge amount of money into the research and development, and now Pearson turns itself into a digital focused learning company. Just to show you how much money is invested into the development and digital development of the company, I used this infographic on the slide, how much $1 billion is. Okay, so further along, of course, just using technology in the classroom doesn't solve the problem of engagement. That is why connected learning environment, according to Pearson, contains 4 main ingredients. This is educational content sources, search service, construction of solutions for learning, which include lesson content, virtual courses, interim assessment, and placement assessment, and different online activities for collaboration of students and teachers, and platform for teachers to share their experience. And finally, of course, flexible delivery of different educational options, embracing modern technologies such as mobile devices and mobile apps for education, e-books, e-course books, smart board software for every course, and effective learning management systems like My English Lab or Mastering or Pearson ERP for higher education also are of great help and great need. Have you heard anything about any of these products from Pearson? Who uses any Pearson courses or maybe knows and uses a learning management system like My English Lab or My Grammar Lab? Just give me a sign for me to know how much I'm supposed to explain. Okay, some people don't know anything about this LMS. And Margarita has heard, but maybe doesn't use. Anna, you send 2 pluses, probably you know and use, right? Some people only have heard. So unfortunately, it is impossible on this platform to show the opportunities of this LMS live, but I will show it on the slides and I will try to explain it for you to understand, and of course in the end you will get some links and you will be able to explore it yourselves. Okay, so but let's move next. Of course, digital solutions and technologies is just only maybe the tip of the iceberg, because behind all these technologies and behind the course books provided by Pearson lies huge research and studies, methodological research and studies, because learning environment and learning ecosystem also involves crowd social learning like blogs, different webinars, opportunities for teachers to develop professionally and to exchange their experience. And Pearson also has a platform for that, because you can join Pearson blogs and attend free webinars from the best presenters from Pearson, and or watch just recordings of these webinars. I will also share the links for all these resources in the end of my presentation. Learning ecosystem must serve the purpose of renovation of schooling and education in general, because learning ecosystem is at the heart of the conversation about the future of schooling. And this is the quotation of Daniel S. Christian, who is a Master of Science and Education from Calvin College. In fact, technologies is in the sphere of his interests, and it is quite natural that IT people, IT specialists, were the first to understand the necessity and the opportunities for educators to share their experiences thanks to all the modern technologies. You know, learning environment, not a new notion, but simply nowadays we have better opportunities for turning it not into just environment, but into ecosystem where each component works together, where each element of ecosystem is adjustable and compatible with each other. As for the characteristics of effective learning environment, first and foremost, of course, content rules. And that is why it is very important to provide students with the purpose for learning English. More and more popular have become the content and language integrated learning courses, which involve task-based learning, including CLIL component or cases for young professionals. Questions are valued over answers in the lessons nowadays, which means that in the lessons, in all lessons, not just English lessons, we pay more and more attention to developing high-order thinking skills like the ability to analyze and synthesize information and apply it in the future. But what is not less important is the authenticity of the sources of information, and sources information should be different, not to develop biases in the lesson. The variety of learning models suppose that apart from e-learning, which we know much about it, we use also flipped classroom and project-based learning, and classroom learning empties into the real world, which means that in the lesson we develop skills which will be used by our students in real life, which are meaningful for them and relevant for their future experience. These are 5 characteristics. Let's take a look at 5 more. Learning is personalized, but it is personalized not only through personalized tasks, which all the experienced teachers know how to work with in the classroom. Also, the curriculum and the learning objectives and syllabus for studies should be personalized and suit different learning styles. Assessment nowadays, as for talking about assessment, nowadays we speak about assessment for learning. What does it mean for us? Assessment for learning means that it is not punitive, and it helps students to see their own weaknesses and strong sides, and serve the only purpose to get better and better. This is not the assessment of their immediate results. This is not the assessment of their level, but even the smallest progress and even their personal progress and personal achievements should be taken into account. And how to do it with the tools provided by Pearson, I will show you later on. Finally, effective LMS systems which help us to develop learners' autonomy and provide opportunities for mobile learning. All these 10 characteristics will be demonstrated today on the example of learning ecosystem created by Pearson. In other words, to speak figuratively, we can compare a learning environment with a smartphone. The main purpose of a telephone is to make calls, but being supplied by different smart apps, a telephone can turn into a really smart tool which can serve different purposes. The same happens with the learning environment if we provide it with the right resources and assets and right tools, which is the quotation again from Connie, whom I presented to you at the beginning of my presentation. Okay, let's take a look at one mode of such effective learning environment created by Pearson. What is Pearson? You can see just the logo of Pearson, which consists of an exclamation mark and a question mark. Can you guess what it means? What it means for you? Why this logo was chosen by Pearson? What do you associate these signs with? Just write something in the chat box, some of your ideas, because webinar is not just a lecture. It's a way to participate actively and to share ideas. It's a platform of sharing and refining our ideas. So welcome. Exclamation mark and question mark. What do you associate it with? Okay, meanwhile, so for me, books. Books, exclamation and question mark. Books, okay. Books, maybe you mean you associate books and course books with Pearson. Teachers to analyze and ask questions. Victoria, that's your vision, but as I have said just a few minutes before, what is valuable about a modern learning ecosystem is not when teachers ask questions, but when students ask questions. So yes, sure, question mark is a sign of inquiry, a sign of curiosity. And curiosity not only from teachers who are always curious whether their students have done their home tasks, but the curiosity of learners who, and curiosity is an engine which inspires us to find out more and more. Okay, so every question has got its answer. Yes, exclamation mark might mean the moment of epiphany, a moment of revelation, of discovery. Eureka! I have found. Now I know. Yes, exactly. That was the philosophy behind Pearson. And Pearson is the world's largest learning company, which creates all-inclusive, state-of-the-art learning ecosystem, which includes personalized interactive learning platform, adaptive assessment tests, full blended learning program, reporting and data analysis. As I have mentioned already, I mentioned it at the beginning of the presentation that Pearson holds research and studies of different teaching trends and looks into the teaching and education and publishes the results of it regularly. And of course, management and professional developments of teachers is another task performed by this company. Okay, what is included into the variety of Pearson products that represent the effective ecosystem, so-called. Okay, first and foremost, Pearson provides all teachers with a free electronic library, which is called ePanel. It is absolutely free for teachers, and every teacher can get access to it. If you are interested, you just Google for ePanel and download the app, and you have the whole library of all materials, teaching materials for your personal use. Of course, you can't use it to copy or distribute among your students, because every library is personalized, but for teachers it is absolutely free. What is included into this library? Of course, every Pearson course from pre-primary up to professional courses and exam preparation materials. Also, apart from the course books, you can find the materials for assessment and worksheets and audio and even smart planning for every course. So please just make a note for yourself about ePanel and Google to find it and make use of it. Why is it absolutely free for teachers? Simply because the philosophy of today has changed, and we no longer pay for having, we pay for using. We are ready to pay for using. Nobody buys CDs any longer. Everyone downloads or runs music tracks or films from the internet just to use it, because nobody wants something to pile up. That is why Pearson is the most generous company supporting teachers. What else is included into this successful environment? Of course, any course is supplied with an effective learning management system and e-texts. You see the sign of e-texts. All the course books, all the paper books are supported by mode of a book. Also, it has My English Lab and My Grammar Lab as an LMS, and progress and placement tests. I will tell in some details about progress and placement tests. First of all, placement. There are 3 types of placement tests. All of them are fully adaptive, so they can identify the level, and they get adjusted to the level of a person who is taking it. At first there was only essential and profile type, but last year a speaking placement test was also issued, and this is the testing that tests not only the level, but why this level is like this. It gives much more information to the teachers. You know that behind every science lies the system of measurement. And of course, you have heard, everyone has heard about CEFR, Common European Framework, according to which language proficiency is assessed. Has anybody heard about Global Scale of English created by Pearson? Okay, so yes, you have heard, and that's great. But maybe even having some information about global scale of English, which is fully corresponds all 6 levels of CEFR and can be adjusted to any course in this way. What does it allow to students and educators? Do you remember that we were talking about the necessity to see even slightest progress of students? So global skill of English is gives more granular understanding where our students are. You know that if we can assess the level of students when they are in the beginning of their studies with the help of CEFR. Sometimes it becomes more difficult when they achieve level B1, for example, because there is such notion as intermediate plateau. When students arrive at this level, they are able to communicate their ideas at a in a primitive way, but they have enough language to express themselves. And sometimes they get stuck at this level and can't move further, because moving from B1 to B2 takes time. They need to acquire quite a lot of vocabulary to progress. And for some students, this intermediate plateau becomes a pitfall. They don't move further because they don't see progress. It is especially worrying for professionals like business people in company who are in B1 1 year, and after this year they are again in B1. But this scale, global scale of English, can show even slightest progress within one level on CEFR. Besides, all the course books correspond global scale of English, I mean Pearson books. And besides, Pearson has created also a free tool for teachers and educators and authors of own materials, which is absolutely free. And again, generous Pearson says that it is Pearson's gift to the world. This is Global Scale of English Teacher Toolkit. You can, right after my presentation, you can Google it, find it, and explore it. Unfortunately, I can't show it live. I would love to, but I can't. There is no possibility to show my screen. But you will be able to find it out about yourself, because it has 3 sections. Learning objectives. You can choose the type of learner. You can choose the skill, reading, listening, speaking, and you can adjust on the skill the level of your students. For example, you can choose A2 level or something in between, or B1 or something. And you click show results, and the results will be shown. You will get can-do statements describing this skill for this very level, for this very type of learner. What do we need it for? We need it to create our syllabus, maybe to write programs, or maybe to create teaching materials, or simply to write a plan for the lesson. The same is true for grammar and vocabulary. You also choose the grammar area, choose the level, and you will get all grammar and functions which are relevant for this level of students, also for the same purpose. And in the grammar area, you can find also some extra materials also which can be downloaded for free, that your own lessons. You don't need to pay for that. You can use in your lesson materials developed specially to work on this or that grammar issue. And the same is true for vocabulary, and I like vocabulary more than anything here, because it is very useful for creating your own materials, teaching materials, for writing your courses, for writing texts for your lessons, because you can see the vocabulary which is relevant for a certain level. Okay, I hope that you will be able to find out more about Global Scale of English. It is an amazing tool. It is a work of magic. I recommend it to you. Okay, so you can read what Global Scale provides. Just think about it. 39,000 vocabulary items adjusted to certain levels, and their number is increasing because Pearson is constantly working on this tool. What comes next? This is this is measuring progress. Also adjustable progress tests, which can be combined with any course. 3 tests per level. You can have one test at the beginning of the course, in the middle, interim testing, interim assessment, and final assessment for the level. Okay, so let's move on. My English Lab, I have said already that it is a very smart platform, which can be used in many different ways. Not just for individual studies, for individual learning, but not only just to assign homework to your students, and for students practice online, but it can help you to assess students' progress, because platform gives the assessment according to different skills, and you can download the results in infographics about every student, because your students' performance and the number of hours spent in the platform are noted and stored on this platform. Besides, it's also provides the opportunity for flipped classroom, because all Pearson courses have video lessons and video teachers, video explanations recorded in the platform. And if you wish to make use of the opportunity to have a flipped classroom, for example, for a grammar lesson, this platform gives you this opportunity. Okay, so now closer to the courses I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about only 2, but then I decided that why not to begin with primary students, because if to talk about developing high order thinking skills, I mean creative and critical thinking, creativity begins early. You can't say that, you can't think that if you haven't been creating creativity for years, you can do it within a course, taking up a special course somewhere in the middle of studies. It can't be created overnight. It's a continuous process. If I had a little bit more time for my presentation, I would have discussed with you whether you believe in the opportunity to develop creativity and critical thinking in students, because there are different opinions on this issue. But as the results show, our colleagues who are using Big English for primary students, they speak about great progress of their students, not only in the development of their language skills, but in the development of their thinking skills. Here in this course, students are supposed not to answer questions, but to ask questions, and it is an example of inquiry-based learning. Every Pearson course, Big English also has a very effective e-text. As you can see, it is fully interactive because it has embedded audio, which can be clicked right from the page, embedded video, and you can see an example of a video lesson. The students watch video which is interrupted with questions for general comprehension and with some open-ended question which ask not the factual information, but students' opinions, which is very important and crucial for developing critical thinking skills. And like every course, Pearson course, it also has interactive workbook. The design and the interface is special for children, very beautiful and colorful. Let's take a look at some tasks from the books which are supposed to develop critical thinking skills. As you can see, these are materials which can be downloaded either from the e-text, which, by the way, can be used as a software for or a presentation tool for your smartboard. You don't need a real smartboard. The white screen will be enough to use it as a presentation tool at your lessons. I mean, just simply I forgot to tell about it at the previous slide. I mean, this e-text can be switched into the presentation model, and it has all the tools that are provided by software which is really expensive. So you can, and by the way, again, maybe it will be a news for you. Every teacher can have an absolutely free access to any Pearson course, LMS, and e-text. The only thing you need to do is to ask for it. And you can look inside the platform yourself, discover its opportunity for you, and maybe you will consider using it as a course if you like it. So you don't need to pay anything. It's free for teachers. And teaching materials can be downloaded from e-text and electronic library. These are extra materials for working on video. That's a video about Machu Picchu because the lesson is about 7 world wonders, modern world wonders. Of course, students, after watching the video, students do pre-watching, while watching, and after watching tasks, which is not new. It has nothing new because every course has something like this, but these are necessary stages. But what I wanted to draw your attention to is this task. This is a project-like task. Just take a look at the question. Which of the new 7 world wonders was built to show great love? This is just question, comprehension question based on the text. But after that, there is a think big question, right? Work with a partner and design a structure which will be remembered throughout the years. It's a creative task, and it stirs students' imagination and makes them collaborate to create something new. Besides, that's also part of this lesson. Students are asked to choose a country and write some information about this country, and think of some landmarks which feel like symbol of your own country. And finally, the task that empties into a real life world. Students are asked to design a map for a bicycle tour, which can be used by tourists to see some landmarks or interesting places in their own local area. They are they think globally and act locally. So this is a real life task which empties into the community. Besides, Big English provides students with wonderful mobile apps for developing vocabulary skills. These are different games. You can also use it for free. If you are interested, you can install this app in your smartphone and just look inside this app. You don't have to pay money. Just Google Big English word games and you will find it and you will try it out. So the course is applied with a Khalil-based course, which is titled Big Science. And this course can be used either together with Big English or with any other course, or just separately, like I will show an example of our clients did they used it for the summer camp, summer language camp, for different ages. Not just for primary students, but even for teenagers. A good thing about it is that every level of this Big Science course has 4 sections focusing on different areas of natural science. And teachers can combine them all or just use only those which are interesting for their students only, which means personalized learning. And besides, all these lessons and units can be used in any succession, in any combination. Another good thing about this kind of courses is that the language is acquired in a natural way, because students don't think that they are learning a language. They are learning something new. They are learning about the world, and alongside with everyday discoveries, they improve their communicative skills and improve their language and use of vocabulary. Just very quickly, the walkthrough of some components of the unit inside Big Science. Every unit contains so-called big question, which opens the unit and is explored throughout the whole unit through the variety of experiments which are held either in class or at home, or finally, in the end of the lesson, there is a Let's Explore section where students also have an experiment to explore something about the natural world. And also, I must say that Big Science has a very interesting software for whiteboard, where there are videos where all the natural phenomena are demonstrated, and the course of the experiments can be seen, can be shown to students, and you don't need to be an expert in natural science yourself, because teachers' notes provide you with all necessary information and all the answers, and how every step within the course should be done. Okay, these are some photos from real life classes from our partners. This is Caterpillar City. They used this course for their summer language camp, which I have already mentioned, and as I have said, they used it even in mixed groups where students of different ages were able to participate in the experiments. So after this course, they noted higher level of motivation from students, better understanding of the world, and developing communicative skills in the natural way, enlarging vocabulary and developing high-order thinking skills, their ability to solve problems and to analyze the material and to apply it to real life. As I have said already, just to remind, it can be used separately with Big English or without Big English, with any other course, as a maybe some extracurricular course which you might consider having in your educational institution. These are components for big science. They all are almost the same for every course, but just I wanted to draw attention to Active Teach, which is really smart and very interesting. If you have an Active Teach, you don't need anything else for yourself as a teaching tool. Okay. Final assessment can be in different forms. Of course, that's great when we can assess it in the form of a final test at the end of the year. But sometimes even for young learners, it is very important to get an international recognition in the form of a certificate. I know that many teachers consider having Cambridge Young Learners tests with their students, which are really great, and Cambridge certificates are widely recognized, but maybe not many teachers know about young learners tests from Pearson, which are absolutely stress-free and are in the form of a game for young learners and are united with this, united by the same topic and have fully integrated tasks. I will show just a little bit from and will tell a little bit about this test for you, and maybe you will consider having this test or trying it out with your young learners. You can't use it, so Ludmila, you can't use it so far in schools, but you can use it for extracurricular activity. This is one thing. And as long as our company, the company I represent, I mean Language Просвещение. Now we have Просвещение in our not just in our title, but as a great support for us. So probably the courses I'm talking today about will be included into the program which will be recommended for schools to use as an extracurricular studies. Okay, so and the tasks from Pearson books prepare students for this Pearson test. And which is also can be used in your schools for as an extracurricular activity, as a preparation course for Pearson tests, because these are internationally recognized exams. So the written part of the test contains all the necessary parts, I mean listening, reading, and writing. But what is interesting about them? The test itself is united by one and the same topic. So, by the stage of writing, having done listening and reading activities, students very often can get the ideas from the reading and listening part then to use it in their productive skills, in testing their productive skills, I mean writing, because you understand very well that for young learners in the stressful situation of the exam, sometimes it is very difficult to come up with ideas. It does not mean that they don't know the language up to the appropriate level, but simply because of the stress, they can't get ideas. But Pearson tests provides them with this support and with this help. By the productive stage, they have learned something maybe, or they have been inspired by the listening and reading part to generate their own ideas. And besides, all the materials are united by why they are interesting for children to read, because they are united by by characters. The Browns family. All the texts are about the Browns family in different situations. They go on holiday, they go to the zoo, they do something together at the weekend, or solve different problems. So it looks like a book about Browns. And as for the oral part, it consists of two parts. The first one is a board game where the participants toss the dice, throw the dice, use the counters, choose the card with questions, and read this question to their partners, and then answer the questions of their partners themselves. So it is held as a board game, very interesting for children, and absolutely stress-free, as you can understand, because they don't answer to a strict examiner. The examiner is as a facilitator at the examination. They don't pay attention to they don't even notice that the examiner is assessing their answer. And the second part is a monologue followed by the questions. So please think about using, or maybe trying, or maybe finding out more about this Pearson exams. Okay, and of course Pearson provides teachers with the materials to prepare for these exams, because it provides the learners with young learner practice tests, booklets for every level, from first words to breakthrough, which contain authentic materials, age-appropriate and thematically connected. The course for teenagers. It's a brand new course, Why the World, which is relevant, or which is suitable for young teenagers, and contains 5 levels from status up to level 4. 5 principles of this course are communication, collaboration, cultural awareness, creativity, and developing critical thinking skills, which also corresponds our description of an effective learning environment. The materials used in this course are all authentic, interactive, and reliable, because all of them were created in collaboration with BBC. And the interesting part of this course is the variety of videos used in the lesson. We know that the modern generation of teenagers have become visual learners, and to address them and to help them to develop their skills better, we need to use more and more visual materials. And in a world course, there are up to 5-6 videos per unit. Just think about it. Not just to introduce the material or to trigger the interest to the topic, but to work on the functional language, to work on grammar structures, to introduce vocabulary, and just as a clear lesson or cultural study lesson with BBC Culture videos, which are of high quality and really engaging contents. Sorry. As for functional videos, there are drama videos united by the same characters, and they can be watched like a soap opera with the same characters. BBC Vox Pops are used either to introduce the topic or to work on some grammar issues, or sometimes to introduce some vocabulary. What else is interesting about this course? That unlike other courses, apart from My English Lab, it also has extra online homework for those who don't consider a fully blended course yet, or who are reluctant to try fully blended course so far. Just to try it out, you can begin with extra online homework. What it is, I will explain you a bit later. Just look at these three modes of using components of this book. If you are not an experienced user of technologies, you can consider using a paper course book, a paper workbook, traditional kinds of workbooks for your classroom, and have a workbook which has an online homework, which is based on videos. Vox Pop videos are included in the platform because, you know, as a teacher, I know that sometimes it's a shame when we use a video in the lesson just for 5 minutes. For some students, it's enough, but for some students, it's necessary to watch it maybe several more times to get to gain and benefit from it. That is why for further work, further exploring the language of this video, you can assign this homework online, where students are are exposed to this video again. And this video is supplied with interactive tasks, which can be done online. They are automatically assessed. It doesn't mean some extra additional work for you, because the assessments is done automatically. You just get the results of it. The second flexible mode of combining the parts of the course are when you use a paper course book, a digital platform, My English Lab, instead of workbook for your students to work online. Again, it saves your time because you don't need to check your students' homework. You just see the results, you see the common error report, and you can do the error correction based only on the common errors done by the majority of students, which is much more effective than spending the whole night checking your students' paper workbooks, thinking that they have copied it from each other, cheating on you. And after that, they can't get the instant feedback. When you are ready with your checked homework, it stops being relevant for them. In online homework, in online workbook, they get the instant feedback, and they see their mistakes, and they see explanations how their mistakes can be improved. And this is the mode which forms the learning habit and makes your students an independent learner, develops their learner's autonomy. Plus, if you get an online workbook, the online homework is already included into the platform. You don't need to get it separately. It is already a part of an online workbook. And finally, if you are an experienced digital teacher, you can consider using all three components in a digital way, including e-text, which I have spoken to you about. These are different modes of working and using the course wider world. It provides great opportunities for flipped classroom, where the introduction of, for example, grammar materials can be set as a homework prior to the grammar lesson. And in this way, in this mode of interaction, you have more time in the lesson. Ludmila, everything is free. Everything is free for teachers, not for students. As a teacher, you can get free access, I repeat, free access to My English Lab plus e-text, to the e-library, absolutely free. Just use the contacts. You can write to Language Просвещение and ask for a free access for you as a teacher. All you need just to send some proof that you are a teacher, maybe a copy of your diploma. I don't know exactly, that's a technical part. Just send us a lesson or a letter and you will get your free access to any course book you would like. Okay, so I was talking about flipped classroom. In this way, you have more time to practice in the classroom, to practice grammar issues already in production, in productive tasks. Okay, these are some, on this slide you can see just some screenshots from LMS. These are different types of tasks in My English Lab and how it can be used. And also in My English Lab, teachers can download and use all the variety of extra materials. And this is how extra online homework looks, which provides opportunities for flipped classroom. You can set in the extra online homework, you can set, for example, watching video online prior to the lesson, which when you are going to use it, for example, right? Okay, that's all for teenagers. And now let's move on to young professionals. As for young professionals, you know very well that for business people, the most important thing is not just to learn grammar rules, but to be able to use English in their work, which means task-based learning and forming soft skills and business communication skills. What they need is just clear objectives, because the objectives can be different for different professionals, and you can consider using global scale of English teacher toolkit to work out the right to set right learning objectives for your students. Of course, business people need authentic, relevant, and regularly updated contents, specific business vocabulary specific for a particular field, and of course, as I have already mentioned, functional language relevant for different business situations like negotiation, meetings, presenting, interview, and so on and so forth. Let's see how all these issues are met by, again, a brand new course for young professionals, which also can be used for inexperienced business people, just in higher educational institution, as a business course, as a part of curriculum. This course is absolutely new because we will get these course books only in August. But if you get interested, you can order them the earlier the better. Okay, first of all, as I have already mentioned, authenticity is the most important requirement for the business course. And that is why this course was written by Pearson authors, again, with the close collaboration with Financial Times and BBC. The videos are absolutely authentic, and they are provided by BBC Studio. Just take a look at the contents of one of the levels. You see that a video is used in the first lesson. In the lesson dedicated to communication, you have 4 different parts of video. I will show you later on. Also, there is a video for business workshop. This is another name for case studies, which is again an integral part of every business course. Then, when we were talking about communicative skills, just take a look how often functional language skills come up within one unit. In 3 lessons, functional skills are being developed. And finally, different professionals need different skills to be developed. For some people, speaking skills are more important. For some professionals, speaking skills are less relevant, but writing is crucial. That is why this course can be used in the accordance with your students' main aims and requirements, because every single unit can be used separately. You can skip some units, you can use them in the succession which is relevant to your students. And if you don't need 2 writings within your unit, you can skip one of them or both of them if speaking skills are more important. As for, or vice versa, you can add more writing with extra materials, because in the teacher's mode of LMS, you can download some worksheets for developing reading, writing skills and vocabulary, and extra worksheets for your activities in the class. Okay, let's take a look inside the interactive workbook. As you can see, it has the variety of resources. Some of them can be used by students and by teachers equally, but some of them are for teachers only teachers resources. All the videos which are used in the course can be run online or can be downloaded and used offline from LMS. And what's next? Again, the opportunity for flipped classroom. The grammar section contains a video explanation of different grammar issues. And also, interactive workbook contains all the videos from the lesson, which provide students with extra practice of language and vocabulary from the script. and students can gain more from the video than just is possible when we use some external sources of information, for example, and run it only in the lesson. Okay, inside the interactive workbook, you can see again resources from Financial Times. All the tasks are based on the text from on the article from the Financial Times, and they are in different form. They can be drop-down boxes or fill-in gap boxes, matching pictures, recordings, and students in some tasks students need to record their own voice for teacher to assess. The majority of interactive tasks are assessed by the system automatically to save teachers time. Okay, so I will answer, Ludmila, I will answer question in a second, okay? So about students, of course, students will have to pay if they want to use it, unless Pearson, if Pearson gave out course books for students for free, I don't think they would have money for $1 billion annually for research and development. Of course, they need to earn money. They can't give everything for free. Of course, they. But if you consider the prices, I can't say it right now, but if you consider it with other prices, you will see that they are quite affordable. Okay, so interactive workbook, as I have said, has several different layouts. And now let us take a look at task-based learning, task-based tasks, sorry for tautology, inside the course book. So just take a look. This is a lesson focusing on developing communicative skills, business communication skills, and soft skills. Here the issue of influencing is being considered. First of all, students are asked to work in pairs and consider when they need to be in which situations. Prior the next task, when they discuss different influencing models of push and pull. Supposedly, if they are young professionals, they know already about these different styles of influencing. But in case they don't know, they read the information about push and pull, and then they decide which video they are going to watch first. Because this lesson has 4 different types of video. The first one introduces the situation, some business-like situation. This 2-second videos are different, how the situation is set in 2 different ways, depending on the strategy chosen. So here in the negotiations, the main character will use both strategies, and students decide whether to watch this or that first, depending on their own preferences. For example, they choose the push strategy, so they watch option A and see how successful it was. Then they consider whether it was successful or not and can watch the second option when she uses a pull strategy. Then they discuss how and when each of the strategies can be applied and which is more successful. And finally, the fourth video is the expert's opinion. They can compare their own ideas with the expert's view. Okay, this is communicative skills lesson. And functional language is, of course, is personalized and practiced in the variety of different modes of interaction. Business workshop is a case study lesson, as I have said already, after every unit. We will walk through it very quickly as long as I don't have much time left till the end of our webinar, though I've got quite a lot to say yet. Okay, so business workshop provides information in different ways. It can be a text, an audio, or infographics. Or a video. And of course, every task-based lesson is concluded by a task based on the information, real-life task. As I have said, it can be provided, the context for the lesson can be provided, and by different sources, either a text or a video. For example, here about young entrepreneurs preparing a pitch for their startup. Students watch a video presentation from 3 young entrepreneurs. They consider their ideas for their startups. They think which startup they would have supported if they had the chance, and finally they create their own pitch and think about their own startup idea. This course book is also fully correlated with an exam, so it contains LCCI exam task types. What is LCCI? I will tell you in a few words. If you are interested, you can Google for information. Okay, so Pearson, apart from Pearson Young Learners, Pearson provides teenagers from the age of 13 up to grown-up people, provide with PTE General or even PTE Academic examination, which is also internationally recognized. And for for professionals, there is an LCCI business or LCCI tourism, LCCI accounting exam. And besides, as teachers, you can consider acquiring an international certificate as business teachers. Having tried or passing FTBE exam, also from Pearson. FTBE means this is the fundamental certificate for business English teachers. And to round up my presentation, I just wanted to say that life has changed greatly, and now we talk about not just about education, not just an experience which we consider having from the age of 7 till the age of 21, 22. We speak about education as a lifelong experience, and with the help of all tools provided by contemporary educational companies, we can afford it because learning management systems and online independent learning platform have become more accessible thanks to technologies. And thanks to companies like Pearson, we can trust the content and the tools they provide us with, because they just don't provide us with products, they provide us with end solution that leads us from the very start, from placement and objectives, up to the final result, qualification. We can obtain a qualification. And with the latest pension reform from our government, thanks to our government, we all have become at least 8 years younger, right? So we have plenty of time to consider acquiring another qualification and to continue learning. So that's kind of sarcasm, but there is truth in my words. Of course, the idea of lifelong learning is not absolutely new, because I like the quotation from Mahatma Gandhi: live as if you were to die tomorrow, and learn as if you were to live forever. So I wish you to never stop develop your professional skills, and as long as you are here, it proves that you are really enthusiastic and think about your professional development. And we can speak that nowadays society, we have turned we have become not consumers but edumers. I have already mentioned that in the past, we as teachers, and me as a teacher, we tried to acquire a book, because we thought that if the more books I buy, the more opportunities I will have. But in fact, now we pay not for having, but for using. And sometimes we can use even without paying, like in case with Pearson. You can use your online library, and you can use the platform absolutely for free. As for your students, they will have to pay for using it, but I think 2 years is enough. 2 years access is enough to use it to acquire the level they want to, right? Instead of letting our course books being piled up in our on our bookshelves in dust, right? And then throw them away because they are outdated. As for the platform and the content of the platform, it is being updated regularly. So I will skip some of these slides as I don't consider them to be really relevant, not relevant, but really important, because I just wanted to mention that even the term ecosystem is not absolutely new, because the term of practical community was introduced many years ago in the 70s, which means just the community of teachers, community of educators and learners who get together to refine their studies, and platform for teachers to exchange their experience, can exchange, can help, provided by Pearson, can help you to exchange it. And our today's meeting, thanks to Trendy English, is also a kind of community that help teachers to exchange their experience. Окей, руководство вузов не дает нам возможность забыть о постоянном обучении. That's great, congratulations. Awful sorry, what is CPD, continuous professional development. CPD, continuous professional development. Okay, so, and finally, you have questions, we have answers. So this is the time for questions if you have any. You're welcome. You kindly will. Thank you for coming. I'm so happy that you found time to come. So that's great, Margarita, for pulling. Yeah, because I don't, according to the expert from business partner, both strategies can be used depending on the situation, and both of them can be equally effective. Everything depends on the choice. Thank you. No questions right now, but in case, see how просвещение to get access to the platform. First of all, I think that everything will be explained by Yelena, how you can get my presentation with the links, and you can write to просвещение that was on the first slide. The information and our email and my telephone number is on the first slide, my information about me. And as for getting access to Global Scale of English Teacher Toolkit, you need just to Google Global Scale of English Teacher Toolkit, and that's it. Listen. To listen to you more. You're welcome. Sometimes I often have webinars held by Language Просвещение. I will be happy if you join my webinars. You can sign up to our webinars.